Hello everyone. So welcome to another meetup on GDG Chennai. So this is me, Somasundaram. Uh, we have Varun with us who will be talking about chatbots today. So this is a recorded session. So this will be on YouTube. And so we usually use chatbots in like most of the places like in Telegram, Google Assistant, and even nowadays we are having chatbots on WhatsApp. So if you order something on GeoMart, your support is basically a chatbot. So a chatbot is like now interacting with us on almost everyday basis. So how to create one of the chatbot, and how do we do the natural language processing and all others. So we have Varun who will take us through the journey from how to deploy it on the platform until how to answer each of the queries on the bot that you are building. So so we will invite Varun.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for the introduction and welcome everyone. And thank you so much for giving me an opportunity in talking in GDG Chennai. And yeah, so basically in today's session, I'll be walking you all through the journey of building a chatbot without any specific server or anything like that. Right. So recently I was writing an article about this, which basically turned out to be the inspiration for the session. So I don't know how many of you saw this, but basically the idea came into me when, back in 2018, when I wanted to build something for myself, like a chatbot that can help me, hold my documents. And then whenever I ask for it, it just sends it to me, right? Something like that. So at the same time, I don't want to maintain it for a longer time. I wanted to build it once and then forget about the maintenance, forget about the scaling and everything, right? Even though it's not going to hit many peaks, but I just want to make sure that everything runs smoothly and without any maintenance. Initially, when I tried to build it, I tried Heroku as one of the primary options, since I don't have to set up my own server and stuff like that. So I built a Node.js application and tried to host it on Heroku. But the major challenge came into picture when in the free plan I had to the bot goes down for one after an hour I used it, it just goes down. I need to make another ping to wake up the bot and then start the conversation. And also the server time was not sufficient to run the bot all through the month, right? So that's when I was looking to alternatives, and I got you know used to, I mean, I completely forgot about the favorite component of Firebase, which is the cloud function. So I once I that came to my mind, I thought of migrating it to cloud function, and then till this date it works feasibly. I mean, it works flawlessly and without any downtime or anything like that. So whenever I hit my messages to it, it just replies to me. So that was a major inspiration for writing this blog as well, so that any developer with very limited knowledge in chatbots, with very limited knowledge in programming, can build their own chatbots. That was the major idea of building this building this, I mean, writing this article itself. So, and Abhi reached out to me, and then he wanted to do a session on top of it, so that it reaches a wider audience, and also it will be a good content for people to try out during this lockdown, right? So yeah, so I just in this talk, majorly I wanted to walk through about the practical development of this. So I'll just explain you with the tech stack, and then from there we'll be jumping into the actual session. So here I'll be using Cloud Function as the core server for handling all the requests that comes to the chatbot, and basically Dialogflow for the NLP part. So any chatbot needs to understand what the user is saying and needs to pass the corresponding statement or the dialogue, and creates or extracts data out of it, right? So that it can make sense of the statement. So the statements are passed with help of Dialogflow, and the actual, process or the parsing and the functionality is handled by the cloud functions, right? So what the first step is to create a Dialogflow bot, right? So I believe like a lot of people know about what Dialogflow is. So for those who are unaware about this, so Dialogflow is a service that is also a part of Google's ecosystem, which was acquired by Google long back, which was in the name called API.ai. So this system, this service helps you to build conversational bots that can understand user context and then give it to another server for external functionality, right? So if you want to build a bot, you need two things. One is the user understanding part, which is the NLP part. Whatever the user says, you need to your bot able to understand it, right? And the second is the action part. Action part is nothing but what exactly to be done when a user says something, right? So for example, if you're building a leave application bot, or if you're building a HR bot where your employees will ask certain set of questions to the bot, and the bot has to perform some operations in your HRMS or in your internal systems, right? So you can use Dialogflow to parse it, where it just gives, for example, if user says, how can I apply for leave, or how can I apply for a pay slip for the month, or how can I apply for how can I apply for the award, the yearly award, or something like that, right? So the Dialogflow helps you to extract the meaning out of it. Like it's an application for the leave. This is the start date. This is the end date. Whenever a user says, no, I would like to apply for a leave on tomorrow or next week. All these things will be passed and extracted as raw information or raw data that can be fed into your action system, which will basically your HRMS system or a middleware that talks to HR system or your ERP system or whatever system that you want to do. So, so as the first step here, we're going to create a Dialogflow bot, right? So, and for this demo or for this talk, I'm going to create a simple weather bot, which so that you can relate with the article as well. So basically, this weather bot will take a question from the user where he's asking, what is the temperature, what does the weather look like in Dubai or Chennai or whatever city that he wants to know, he or she wants to know. And then this information will be passed, and then the weather information should be provided to the user. So for this, I'm going to use Dialogflow for the parsing. So I'm going to create a small weather bot. So I thought it will be cool if I can name it something very relatable to weather and Chennai. So I'm going to name it as Ramadan bot, right? So okay, so a lot of people know about this. So it's nothing but this person used to be very famous for reading out weathers back in 1817s, 2018s and 17s. So I'm going to create a Dialogflow instance called weather Ramadan bot. So this creates a new Google project. So basically, Dialogflow project is also a part of Google's ecosystem. So it creates a Google project on the cloud, Google Cloud. So you can either tag it to an old project that you already have as an add-on. Like for example, you already have a Firebase app and then you want to build a chatbot for that. You can map that Google project, and so it will be a package, right? So currently for this demo, I'm creating a separate new bot, right? And so here we wanted to create something called intents. So intents are nothing but the conversations that are happening between a user and the bot, right? So for example, these are group of conversations. So for example, here you're going to ask for weather, right? So asking weather is an intent. So where under that there'll be different type of user queries, like for example, what does the weather look like, or where what is the temperature, how hot it is in Dubai or Chennai or something like that, right? So all these things are categorized as one intent. So for example, if you're building a separate another chatbot for your travel booking application, booking could be one intent, on inquiry can be another intent, or your flight status could be another intent, where people will ask about what is the status of my flight, when is my flight flying, or some information, some queries related to that. So intents are basically the classification of conversation that is dealt in your bot, right? So currently I'm going to create, there are two intents by default, basically the welcome intent and the feedback intent, the fallback intent. The welcome intent is basically like greeting, like hi, bye, and stuff like that. And fallback is like, whenever you ask something and the bot doesn't know, it'll just say some default input, right? That is what is fallback intent. So let me create a new intent. So I'm going to name it as the weather intent. ask weather intent, right? So, and I'm just going to save it. So here there are two important sections. One is the training phrase. So training phrase are nothing but what would your user ask that is categorized as weather intent, right? So it could be like, uh, how how is the weather in Chennai? So this could be a potential question that the user asks, right? So here, Dialogflow is very smart enough to automatically understand what exactly the user is typing here, and then classify the corresponding information out of it by default. So here, if you know that Chennai is automatically categorized here, right? So this is like, automatically categorized GeoCity. For example, now if you train this bot and then ask, uh, how is the weather in Dubai or how is the weather in San Francisco, it'll automatically pick San Francisco or Dubai as city since it is mapped here, right? So it is smart enough to do that. So that is the main reason why we use Dialogflow, right? So now we trained for one phrase, right? So now I've saved it. Whenever you save, the bot will train itself, and then the intents will be saved. And after the training, you can basically try the bot here. Like for example, I'll type how is the weather in Chennai. It automatically asks the GeoCity, right? So it automatically finds the parameter and the corresponding value. So now you can add more dialogues or training phrases so that your bot is smart enough to pick up multiple questions or different type of user conversation. For example, how hot is it in Chennai? What's the temp? So all these questions are similar. So I'm just categorizing, I'm just typing all the possible questions. For this demo, I'll just have 3 different phrases, and then I'm going to train the bot. So if you ask any of these questions, so for example, I'm just copying it and then pasting it and then changing it to Dubai. Yeah, it automatically, even though I typed Dubai instead of the I found it, right? Because it is categorizing it as a city, and then it correspondingly figures it out by itself because it's pre-trained to have all the cities and the corresponding mapping. Now we have the bot ready, which can parse information. Right now, we need to send this information to a separate server for performing some operation, get some result. So in our case, we need to set into a separate system and then pass it to call the weather API and then get the corresponding information and then sends it back to the user so that we can say reply to the user for this specific query. So now in order to do that, if you scroll down, you have something called the actions and parameter. So you need to categorize all these intents under one action so that like corresponding intents to corresponding actions. So whenever call is made to the backend server, it understands what exact actions these are. So because the server that we are going to build will not understand the context, understand what exactly the user is saying from this statement. So it has to be mapped to a function or an action that is used to classify the incoming input and corresponding parameters and then perform the specific operation. So here, since it's an intent weather, action ask weather intent, I'm going to name the action as ask weather. So this can be any convention. Since I'm using JavaScript for the server, I'm just following the JavaScript convention. So I'm going to save it. And this city information is very mandatory, right? So you cannot tell a weather report without where exactly they're asking for, until unless you know the geolocation of the user. But in our case, we're going to use Telegram or any other chatbot framework, which will not give you the region information by default. So in that case, we need to make this required. This parameter should be required, right? So you can make it required. So there is another advantage here. Whenever you make it required, the Dialogflow will prompt to ask that question until unless the user says it implicitly, right? So you can also define the weather. So I'm just going to leave it by default, which will be like, what is the location, what is GeoCity or something like that. And I'm going to change this parameter name called city, so that it's easy for me to extract it here. So now after you save, the bot will get trained. So when you ask for it, say Dubai, it will say the parameter city and the value of the parameter is Dubai, and the action is asked whether. So this information is what useful for the server to understand and classify your conversation there, your messages, your users messages. So now we have configured the bot's parsing structure. So we need to make this bot connected to some of your services, right? Like either Telegram or Facebook Messenger, or there are n number of options in Dialogflow. So in our case, I'm going to create a Telegram bot since I'm a big fan of the platform, and it provides really good, fast, and performant good platform. So I'm going to use Telegram for this case. And so in order to create a Telegram bot, you can open your Telegram application, and you can search for something called bot further. So bot further is nothing but a bot itself inside Telegram that helps you to build your own bot, right? So whenever you, so for example, I'm just going to delete it off, and bot further. So you can just click on start. So it gives you the option. So these are the options that like slash commands you can use. Like slash commands are nothing but the same commands that you use in Slack or any other bot service. So you can check for my bots. So basically all the bots that you created will come here. So in this case, I'm going to create a new bot called again Ramanan bot. So that so here once you click on the new bot, it'll ask for the name of the bot. So I'm going to create, right? And now we need to create a username for bot. It's like the handle, your Facebook username or Twitter username. It's going to be like an handle. I'm going to create bot. So it should be prefixed with bot or underscore bot in order to, okay, this is already used by someone. So I'm going to create another call. Okay, this is also used. So I'm going to create 1, 2, 3 bots. A bot is successfully created now. So once you created this is all. Like it is very simple to create a bot with bot further bot. So in Telegram, you don't have to go with multiple wizards or API code key and everything, like nothing like that. It's very simple to create here. So now once it's created, you can click on this link. Basically, that's the link to your bot. So you can start a conversation. You can say hi, but there will not be any reply because the bot by default will not know what to reply as, because Telegram will not have that functionality to reply to your unless and you handle that, right? So in order to connect this bot, now we have the bot ready, we have the Dialogflow parsing module ready. So we need to connect these two. We need to bridge and basically make the bot alive, right? So now what you have to do is that you need to copy this code. So this is your token for your bot. This is very sensitive information. So I'm just creating a dummy bot. So I'm just showcasing it to you. But when you create, just have it safe, and you don't share it with anyone, because then anyone can message has your bot. Like so it's going to be a threat for you. So in our case, you can just copy this. When you click on it in the Telegram application, when you click on this code, it will be copied. You can see it here. So now you can go back to Dialogflow. You just save the intent so that you don't miss it. So, and as soon as we save, you have something called the integrations. Click on the integrations and just scroll down. There are n number of integrations, like all these things are there. So I'm just going to use Telegram here. So click enable it, and in the pop-up you will get this thing. Just paste the token and start the bot. It takes some time. Basically, it gets configured in your Telegram's directory, saying that it will get registered that this is the token. This is the service, like Dialogflow's webhook will be used for any of the parsing, something like that, right? Once you configure it, you can go back to the bot and just say hi again. It says a reply, right? So this is basically coming from Dialogflow, which means your bot and your Dialogflow got connected, right? So now we'll test our intent, right? So for example, whatever we created as per the intent, let's copy this statement and ask for it. It just types. It doesn't know what to reply for because we didn't set the reply, right? So in order to test it, right? So in order to test it, what you can do is that there are something called the responses. So these are the static responses the bot will do, the Dialogflow will do without any calculation or computation from your server, right? So basically, this is useful for any static communication or FAQ kind of a bot where you know the answers for these questions without any integration or something like that. So for example, for now, I'm just going to reply by default. So good. Better. Right now, whatever you ask with whatever city you ask, this is going to be the reply. So let me check that. Copy paste the same, so it just sends it here, right? So this is basically a static response. We have nothing to do with the weather API or your backend server or anything like that. It just replies whatever you gave in the default responses, right? Sometimes you can have multiple responses as well, right? For example, different way of putting the response, like it's really good here, something like that, right? So you can have multiple responses. So bot will pick randomly out of these one and then sends it, right? So sometimes it sends in random fashion. So you can also have these default responses for each and every platform individually. So this gives you an ability to reply to Facebook differently, or Telegram differently, Skype differently, and Slack differently. So various combinations, because the formatting will be different here and there, right? So you can also add different type of responses, text response or custom payload. If you take Telegram, you can have these kind of responses, and if you have Slack, you will have different another different type of responses. All these things are configurable in responses. But in our case, this is not helpful, right? So you cannot say it's good weather here or it's good here or something like that. So you need to configure it with a backend server. So that's where our Firebase comes into picture, right? So now in our case, we need to create a small server that will function as a backend for this chatbot, which will get the incoming request, parse the action, corresponding action, and then extracts the information and sends the corresponding information back. So let me create a new Firebase project. So I have already, so till this part, we have configured Dialogflow, we have configured a Telegram bot, and we have performed the integration between Dialogflow and Telegram, right? So this part is packaged now. So the next big part is to configure the bot, right? So to integrate with Weather API, to integrate with any of your own services. So in order to do that, I need a server. So for that, I'm going to go with Firebase Cloud Function. So to make it more simpler, I assume that you guys know what Firebase is. So for those who are new to Firebase, Firebase is a platform. It's a backend as service, which gives you ability to any front-end developers or a mobile developer to build their application without a backend service. I guess I've got a ping. Okay, so yeah. So Firebase is a backend service where you can build applications on top of existing APIs that they provide. So I know I gave a bunch of other talks as well on how to get started with Firebase and what Firebase can do for you. So to give a higher level overview, it has a database, a NoSQL database called Firestore, where you can host all your data, your application's data, and it has storage where you can upload files and retrieve files. So when I build the chatbot, I have all my PDF documents, like my license, my Aadhaar card, my mark sheets, and everything in my Firebase storage. And the bot will retrieve from there and then sends it to me, right? Similarly, it has hosting, where you can host your static applications, like static React or Angular, which runs on the client side, right? Those applications, and also several other modules like machine learning and various other things. It also gives you authentication, so you can usually easily configure any of your social logins without any major code or anything like that. So for now we're going to go with something called the Cloud Functions. So Cloud Functions are nothing but serverless functions that runs on Google's infrastructure. You can write JavaScript functions that will become as a trigger, as a triggered execution. Like there are triggers like when a new data is created in Firestore, or when a HTTP call is made, and when a new file is dropped to a specific bucket, something like that. So in our case, we're going to create an HTTP function that will serve as a web application, web service. So JSON web service. So let me, in order to create that, so you need to create a Firebase project. So it's pretty straightforward. You can just create a new project. So I'm going to skip through all those steps. I've already created a project. So make sure that you are in Blaze Plan. So Blaze Plan is required for making external calls from your functions. Like for example, if you want now, in our case, we need to make an external call to our weather API to get some information, right? So you need to upgrade your plan to Blaze Plan. So this is also free until unless you reach a threshold, you will not be charged, which is very high likely you will reach because the plans are pretty good. It has a larger free limit in free plan, so you will not reach it very soon. So in order to create functions, you need to set up a local repository of functions and then push it to Firebase, right? So in order to do that, you need something called Firebase Tools, an NPM package called Firebase Tools. So let me create a new project called and make sure that you have npm i-g Firebase Tools. I already have it, so I'm going to skip this type. So once you have it, you will have something called Firebase in your terminal. You will be having it as a global tool, right? Your CLT tool. So it has all the options. So what you have to do as a first step is to Firebase Login. So currently I've already logged in. So when you log in, it just asks for a link and then click on link and then authenticate. It automatically logs into your account. So now let's create a new Firebase project locally, right? So in order to do that, Firebase init. This is like a wizard, small CLI wizard, where it will ask for you various things. So the first question is that what are the things that you're going to use locally with this CLI, right? So you can use it for your Firestore, you can use it for your hosting, you can use it for all these configuration files will be generated as you configure it accordingly. So in our case, I'm going to use only functions, right? So what I'll do is arrow keys and then click space and click enter. I'm going to select and then I'm going to use an existing project. So I already created a project in web. So I'm going to use that project ID inside this CLI, right? So I'm going to use existing project. It lists me all my projects. So I'm just going to go down and FIR sample. So this is my Firebase sample project. Just click on it. It asks for two options, JavaScript or TypeScript. And I'm just going to go with JavaScript, but it's preferred that if you go with TypeScript because you have far more control on your data types and everything. Since it's a demo, I'm just going with JavaScript, so for easier understanding. And ESLint, yeah, I highly recommend you to enable it. Just click Y and then enter it. So it creates all these functions for me, all these files for me by default, this CLI tool. So it's like more like a boilerplate. So I'm just going to click on yes. So it will install my dependencies as it creates the files, like Firebase functions, np node package, and Firebase as node package, and all those things will be installed. Let me wait for it to install. Now it's complete. So when you do ls, you'll have these two functions, this file and this function, this folder. So Firebase functions folder is one that holds all the code, right? So let me open in code. Code is nothing but VS Code. So I'm just using, yeah. So I'll just close this one. So I have this functions folder. So I'll just, yeah, for easier view, I'm just increasing the size. So you have index.js. So this is the entry point for your application. Okay. Yeah, this is your entry point or application, and you can create. So basically, this gives you a small sample function that will, that is basically a HTTP function. I'm going to make use of it. Just rename it rename a little, and then use it. So here, yeah. So I'm just going to rename it to chatbot webhook, right? Something like that. So and then I'm going to create JSON response. So this is nothing but an Express application. It runs based on an Express.js app. I guess people, you're aware of what Express is. So I'm just going to leave it off. So I'm just going to use, right? So I'm just going to create a simple HTTP function. So it takes two response, request and response. So request is basically holds all your body or header and everything like that, and response is basically what you send out of your function. So other than that, this is pretty much standard stuff. Your Firebase configuration. What if since we use only function, it has only functions. That there'll be multiple things like if you configure hosting, it'll have on configuration for the hosting and everything. And similarly, Firebase RC is the one that holds you what's a project, what is your project. You can have multiple projects and you can switch between projects as well, like prod and development, something like that. So let me deploy this. So I created a small function. I just enable whatever the sample is and created a small function. Let me deploy it and then make sure that the function is being registered in Firebase my project, right? So I'm going to use item. So you can use Firebase Deploy. I'm going to deploy only functions. So I'm just functions that too only specific function so that it'll be faster. It doesn't go through my entire. Let me do Firebase Deploy. So now it will deploy everything. So here we have only functions, so it will just pick only functions and then deploy. So basically what we are doing currently is that we wrote a function. This will be a trigger by itself, and then this will be deployed. So the advantage of serverless programming is that, as a developer, I don't have to worry about the infrastructure, the scaling, the maintenance and everything. I just write a function, a pure logic, and then deploy it in a serverless infrastructure. And the infrastructure provider will handle all the upscaling and everything for me. I don't have to worry about that. And the pricing for this basically works like, how many times you trigger this function, that many times you will be priced. So this is actually very good for things like, backend servers and everything like that. Since it is basically, you don't have to worry about the spikes. Like for example, you build a application like Zomato or Swiggy or Flipkart or something like that, right? So whenever you build a serverless API for your mobile app, and whenever there's a peak time, like an offer going on or something like that, the peaks are already automatically handled by the functions, like the serverless infrastructure, because every time a function is triggered, a small instance of VM will be created and then used for that specific function alone, that for specific trigger alone. And this will be a lot cheaper for you when you don't use your applications all the time, right? Your traffic is very less all the time. So in terms of chatbot, it's pretty good because I'll use the server only I ask for a query or I ask for a message. Other than time, the server is going to lie just like that, simply just like that. So functions is pretty good use case for here, and it comes for free of cost as well for small projects like your pet projects and stuff like that. So it's good for even students to adopt this. Okay, coming back, now our function is already deployed. So this is our function. So let me try opening this. Yeah, since it is not mentioned, is it a post command or get command? It just works for all any type of header HTTP method. So when I made a request, it just says hello from Firebase, right? So now our server is ready. Our basic server infrastructure is ready. Now we need to configure it according to the chatbot. We open this. So you can see this has been registered. So this is our URL, right? So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to set this URL as the fulfillment for our Dialogflow. Just copy this URL. Go to your fulfillment. Okay, I already saved it, so I'm just skipping it off. Enable it. Send in URL. And then you can also write your own functions here directly, but it's not easy for you to manage it. So I'm just writing it outside and then connecting it here. This also use cloud functions, Google's cloud function. So I'm just saving it off. So once you save it, the fulfillment is configured to your Dialogflow project, but not for your intent. So in order to do that, you need to go to your intent. Once it's saved, go to your intent and scroll all the way down. Click on the fulfillment section, enable fulfillment. Enable this box. So basically, once you enable this thing, this responses will not be of any use. So any request that comes related to this intent will be when goes to our cloud function, and cloud function or any webhook that you give, and then perform there. Whatever response that is coming from there will be used for used as your response. Right now, just save it and just type the query and click on diagnostic info. So you can see your response coming from fulfillment. Your status is execution successfully. But the catch is this response is not enough for Dialogflow to understand what exactly the user has to be told and give it to Telegram, right? So when you try the same thing here, you will not get any response now. I think it's still, yeah. Since the Dialogflow, since the fulfillment response is not a proper format, Dialogflow is sending the default response as the response. So let me clear it off, save it, and it doesn't know what to reply. It just stays typing, and then it's not send you any message, right? So what you have to do is that you have to format your JSON response in specific format so that the Dialogflow will understand. So I'll just there's a documentation for this. I'll probably put it across when we put this video in the YouTube description. So basically, you need to send in this format for Dialogflow to understand what your reply is. So basically, this is nothing but fulfillment messages are nothing but you can send one or more than multiple text or card or anything like that, and then corresponding values, right? So now I'll just copy this structure, go to my code, and I'll just replace this structure. So my response should be in this structure, and whatever text I give here should be coming text from webhook. So I'll just leave it off this, and we need to deploy the function again. So again, it's going to take some time to deploy. So meanwhile, while this getting this deployed, let's go quickly and then check out what is the weather API that we're going to use, right? So I'm going to use open weather API weather map.org. So there is a free plan. I'm just going to use that for the demo. So already signed in. Okay, I think it's asking for. Yeah, so you can go to the API section, and I'll be using this current weather data, right? So basically, there's a free plan, so you can go to the API. Sorry. Yeah, I need to go get started. Okay. So where exactly it is? Yeah. Go click on your profile and API keys, generate this key, right? Again, this is also a very sensitive key because anyone can use this key and then reach a rate limit. So just have it with you. I'm just going to create a new link. If you want to, you can create a new key as well. Generate it. Yeah, we got a new key. So I'm going to use this key. Probably after this demo, I'll be deleting this key because I'm using it for a demo. And this key is very important for you to call the weather API and then respond to it. So here, if you go to the API section and the current weather API data, you can use this format. So this is what I'm going to use for the corresponding demo as well. So let's see if, yeah. Meanwhile, our function has been deployed. We'll go and then test it out in our Telegram. I'm going to copy this, paste it. And yeah, we got the webhook response, right? So now we connected our Telegram, our Dialogflow, and our Firebase Cloud function. So all these things are connected. The final piece of the puzzle is basically the weather API, and that also we just had a look at it. So what I'm going to write is I'm just going to write some more logic, some more function to close this loop. So what I'm going to I have this function, so I need to call the weather API. So for this, I'm going to use a library called Axios. You can also use the default fetch, but I feel Axios is pretty cool, so I always use that. Save Axios. Okay, you should not do that here. You should do it inside function folder. Going out, can use const axios. Okay. And I'm going to create a URL. Sorry, const API equal to. I'm going to copy this API key, paste it here, and just since it's a constant, I'm just going to clear off the. And I'm going to create a URL. API URL equal to. So we went to the API key section and API. Just copy this. Okay, let me put it inside so that it's only for TPS. And I'm going to change the API key, right? So dollar. Okay, so I've created this. So we need to fill in our city name here. So in order to do that, we need to extract the data that is coming from our Dialogflow, basically the action and the parameter, right? So this any action, any intent in Dialogflow will be calling this API, and from where we need to branch it out to different functions correspondingly. But now, since we have only one API or one action, I'm going to use a small function condition here to extract and then check whether this is ask whether action or something else. Something else, I'm just going to return unable to parse or something like that, right? So here, in order to get that, just go to here, then ask the same question. Meanwhile, click on the dynamic info. Basically, if you go to the fulfillment request, this will be the request of your body, structure of your body. This, for example, let get body, or inside this, you're going to get query result, right? So inside query result, you're going to get action and the corresponding parameters. So here action around, let's copy paste. So the parameter will have something called city as the key. For that, we're going to find. So you're just going to copy. This will be replaced to parameters.city. Cool. So that's all. So we need to call this API, get the response. So in order to do that, return, okay, return axios.get get URL. I'm going to then response data. Okay. Let me do this. Then data. So we need to know what exactly this will be returning. So if you go down, yeah, this will be the response. So I need the temperature, right? So you can go inside. So weather, you need to go inside the weather, and let me pass this function so that it's helpful for you to JSON format document, so that you can go need the weather main and temp. So what I'm going to do is that, so I'm going to change this structure to be a separate function so that it's easy for you to get const response builder equal to message. I'm going to return this, and this will be your message, right? I'm going to get, what is that? I'm going to respond data.main, then Temperature is response builder. Temperature is the so yeah, we'll get the final string. So which we need to respond. Then data again. Going to response dot JSON data. Okay. So what I'm going to do is that we need to do one thing. If action not equal to ask whether return response dot data instead of response builder, call invalid function. All right. Basically, if it is not asked whether, it just goes to invalid function. It just responds as invalid function. Else, it will call an API and gets the data, gets the main, basically main object from the data. Okay, main.temp we need to return. Main.temp, and then from the temp we are just building a structure. Finally, we're returning the structure. Let me check if it is working. Let's deploy. I think I wrote it a little different in my article, but it's quite should work. Let's see. So meanwhile, you can also build, custom entities. Instead of if you don't want to go with a default entity like GeoCity number or anything like that. If you want to build custom entities, like if you're building a leave application, you can build custom entities like your leave type. Leave type could be your custom entity like uh, your sick leave or some uh, your vacation leave or something like that. So that can also be built and then configured accordingly. So Dialogflow has extensive capabilities to build your chatbot for a very large use case. So that bundled up with something like Firebase or something like Telegram and other services, it can you can build chatbots in a matter of days or a matter of weeks, not more than more than a month. You don't need for a very straightforward chatbot. And with Firebase Cloud Function being one of the server sort of thing, you can build for your Firebase applications as well. Like I long back, what I was doing is that to create a small chatbot powered by Dialogflow for querying some of my Firebase data itself. So that also you can do. So it kind of comes as a complete package for you. So let's see. It takes some time to deploy. So in order for you to test it out, you can use Firebase emulators that can run locally, and you don't have to deploy multiple times for testing it out. So you can also use that.
Hey Varun, Abhishek here.
Yeah, Abhishek.
We got 3 questions in the chat. So meanwhile,
Right.
if you can also answer them.
Sure thing. I think this is deployed. Let me check once.
Sure, sure. Or else
This
we'll
work?
take it and not an issue.
Yeah. In case if we need to make any changes, we'll take it during that. I guess some it's not. Let me check here. Yeah, it's unavailable. So something goes wrong here. I think we're running out of time. Okay. Pages error. So okay, in order to do this, I think what I'll do is that I'll just copy the code from my article. I don't know where exactly. I'll just copy this and paste it and deploy. Pretty much just the same thing. I think the only change is that this will be city, right? Let me deploy this and then I will take the questions. Doing the same thing, but okay. to change the key. Let's deploy this, and we'll go to the questions. Yeah. Okay, these are. Okay, can we use any other cloud functions other than Firebase? Yeah, you can use cloud functions, or cloud functions is basically, even Firebase is using the Google's cloud function, right? So that is one of the serverless architecture that you have. You can also use anything like, Lambda functions or Azure's cloud functions or anything else, or you can also use your own servers, which can be like which can open up webhooks like a REST API, and then you can consume that as well. So you just need the URL, the fulfillment to be filled here. That's all. It can be any server, any API server, right? So you see, Firebase function supports JS only. Is there any? Yeah, currently they support only JS, but if you are other languages, you can go for Lambda functions, which supports a wide variety of languages like Python, Go, and Ruby, and other things as well. And you can also try out Google function. Google function also provides Google's direct cloud functions, not Firebase cloud function, which also provides multiple languages, I believe. I'm not much sure, but you can certainly check Lambda functions. Okay, can we have interacting chatbot where chatbots post questions also based on responses? It can ask other questions like, yeah, if you want to initiate a conversation from a chatbot, from your own chatbot to the user, you can directly post with help of the corresponding APIs, like for example, Telegram's API, where you have something called send message function, and you need to pass your bot ID and corresponding user ID, which can push messages to your thing. Because Dialogflow always replies to your messages, but not directly send messages. So now, in order to use that, you need to create direct APIs, the Telegram or Firebase or Facebook or Skype or Slack's APIs, in order to create that. Because see, this is a very good question where. Okay, I'll just rename the function. So this is a very good question, because what I have is a specific URL that I created for my chatbot, where whenever you send a message to that URL, like post message to that URL, specific format, the chatbot will message me. So I use this for a lot of things like my notification. Whenever a new user signs up for my product will sends a new post method to that URL, and that sends me a message in my Telegram bot. That similarly, every day morning, once I was configuring my emails, like every day morning, there'll be a schedule that is set in Zapier, which will call this function, and that function will basically get all my emails, like all the top priority emails, and then sends it to me in my Telegram. So whenever I wake up, I'll just see that, and also the calendar invites, all the calendar meetings that I have for the day. So every day morning, I'll just see that. Similarly, you can push messages to other channels as well. So for example, I have one channel where my bot just sends a consolidated news of all the, like for example, I can just show that channel as well. It'll just send messages to that channel every day morning. Yeah. So this channel, if you see every day morning, you'll just see the news. So basically, this is sent by a bot. This is sent by my own bot to push it to the channel. Similarly, you can push it to queue, push it to any users as well. So you just need to use the corresponding function, the API. Event handler for managing rich content, Google Action, probably some sample code. Okay, so in order to do that, you can use this structures, the card response, the Google Assistant response. So this is a very, the rich text, rich responses. So I can send you this link, so where you can build the corresponding formats. So you just need to respond in that specific format for the bot to understand. So for Google, there'll be a specific format. For Telegram, there'll be a specific format. Right.
This is the answer for Arun's question.
Yeah, Arjun's question, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I've answered the other questions as well, right? Did I miss anything?
No, you covered them all.
Perfect. Now let's go on and check the bot. Yeah, it's deployed, but I think the URL got changed a little since I named the bot differently. So let me change the fulfillment, save it, and now let's ask the same question. Yeah, if you want, any other cities? Don't agree? Let's see. Yeah, or can ask any city for that. We just configured for Chennai and it works for any city. Yeah, 13 degree. Any other cold countries? And oh, it's a country, right? Any other city? Nothing is coming on top of my.
You put Bangalore, no?
Maybe hot, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If Rama is asking for Kuwait, you can type.
If you want to add, the temperature, just temperature, right? Blankly, you can just put like the temperature in city. Can do that because the city is configured here, so you just replicate it here, something like that. You can create multiple different formats accordingly. And as I said, you can extend your entitlements, and you can, for example, with this code, you can update something in the database, like for applying for leave or applying for some offers or something like that. I have built bots on top of this for leave application for a HRMS system where the people can just sign up here and then do the conversation. You can even create notes. Say, like I would like to make a note, and then it just asks something. You just cite the node and then it will be saved in the database, something like that. It can be any, the creativity is has no boundaries, right? So you can build anything around that, like in your case. So I think that's pretty much from my side about what I wanted to share today for building a chatbot with help of Dialogflow without any payment or without any special tools or anything like that. Within a matter of 30 minutes or 40 minutes, we built a chatbot that is very powerful for extracting information from different servers, writing to database and stuff like that, right? You can build anything like that in matter of days or weeks. Yeah, we can have questions now probably. Yeah, you want to try Kuwait? Let me check.
And then people can unmute themselves and they can talk. That's why we have Meet. So if you have any question, please feel free to ask.
Varun, one question on the Firebase functions.
Yeah,
So you were accessing OpenWeather API, and that's the reason you went for Blaze plan, right?
Yeah.
Else
Yeah.
you can use the free plan, right?
Exactly. So if you want to, use only your Firebase data or any of the Google services alone, you can use free plan itself, the Spark plan itself. So if you want to call an external API or have a communication with an internet from your function, you need a Blaze plan.
Okay.
Cool. Any other questions?
Like, is it charged for every API request we make, or we have free allowance too?
So you have a free allowance. Let me show that to you. Firebase pricing. Yeah. So I'll just share my screen for you to. So here you can see my screen, right? It's still presenting. So you can see that you can make 125,000 requests every month in free plan, right? And if you go for the Blaze plan, the pay-as-you-go plan, you can make up to 2 million requests free. And after that, for every million request, you'll be cost 40 cents basically. So that's nothing, right? For every million requests. So that's pretty good. Hope that covers your question, answer.
So, hello.
Yeah.
Hi, Mr. Varun. So I have asked about that rich content responses, right?
Yeah.
Which are saying. So what's my issues? I have created a action, Google action, which diagnoses the health of the person. I mean, if he says anything like something to cold, if he's having cold, that action will provide a response as the remedies for the cold. So it should do that. So if he typed the thing on his own as cold means, it will be providing a response as Dialogflow is having some intent management thing. But what I need to do is I need to make the user to click the rich content response. I mean, I will provide a cold photo. I mean, the sick photo. If you click that sick cold photo means the user must get that response from the web or else some static content for the remedy content that should be delivered. So while I browsed in the web and all, it showed me something called we must create a event handler for the thing. So basically, I'm a no-OS person because I don't code that much. So I tried to do that in a low-code platform, but it was not happen. So what we can do in order to get the response?
Right. See,
Have you got my point?
yeah, I understood. Like basically, you want to capture whatever the user clicks on a button sort of a thing, right?
Yes.
In Google Actions. See, to be
Yes.
honest, I'm not a Google Actions person. I'm more into Firebase, but there are something called buttons that you can use. Buttons comes with default event handlers where when a user clicks on the button, your server will know what exactly he clicked on the previous context. You can make use of that, as one thing, but I'm not sure if you can put pictures on top of the buttons, because Google Actions has some conventions of, the design language having buttons and cards. So cards are usually links and buttons are usually text. So I'm not sure if you can put images, but buttons something you can use.
Yeah, I tried with buttons too, but it was not working. That's why I need to. I attended this session just for this whole thing.
Okay.
Ask this thing.
Right. See, what I can do is I can put in touch with you the right person who can help you on it, because they are. I know someone who is working on Google Actions extensively. Probably I can connect you with them so that you can have a much more deeper and clear conversation. Because I might be my replies might be misleading, so I don't want to confuse you with my own thoughts. So it's better to ask the right person.
Yeah, fine. I understand.
Perfect.
Arjun, did you try something like clicking on an image will actually send another intent? That's how usually Google Assistant works. So clicking on a button or clicking on an image, the user would, it's treated in Dialogflow like the user has said something else. So you will, on tapping on an image, you will say, you will automatically put the text that the user has typed and send it to Dialogflow. That's how the response is captured.
Fine. So actually, what I'm getting right now is if I click that rich content response or anything, is it a button or else? If I click that, it's immediately fall into the fallback intent. It's forwarding to the fallback intent. It's not redirecting to the intent what I need to provide there. So for that, I need an event handler. I mean, to handle that intent things, I need some kind of code there. So is there any way to handle that?
Okay, we will connect offline and we will check that. Yeah.
Yeah, fine, thank you.
Yeah, Somu is also another potential person because he built a lot of chatbots.
Oh, fine.
Basically, he overused Dialogflow, so he's the right person.
Yeah, I think he will help me in these kind of things.
Yeah, sure.
Fine.
Cool. Any other questions? Cool. Then thank you, everyone. Thanks for your time. Can Dialogflow be integrated with Microsoft Teams? Let me check if that is possible. Looks like there's no official integration, but what you can do is, Revati, you can create Teams needs a webhook to parse the information, right? So whenever any message that comes to Teams will be sent to another server in order to parse it. So what you can do is that receive it on that server, create a small Dialogflow client that can push it to Dialogflow for parsing, and then receives it. Something like that you can do. So basically, it's building your own chatbot platform for with help of Dialogflow. So something like that you can do. So did it answer your question?
Yeah, got it, Varun.
Perfect. Anyone else?
Okay, I think that's all we have today. So there are a couple of announcements for you guys from GDG Chennai. First of all, that was a great session by Varun. If you have any doubts, you can ping us. Me as well as Varun, both are available on Twitter mostly. We will be happy to help you guys. And Varun is also the GDE for Firebase. So if you have any doubts on Firebase cloud functions or any sort of things, you can ping Varun. So yeah, coming to the announcements, this time we will have the DevFest happening nationwide. It is not going to be city-wise as we usually do. And it is also not an offline event, of course. It's going to be an online event. We will announce the dates and speakers and agenda very soon. Interacting with other GDG members as well. So that will be a nationwide event, and I hope everyone has joined our new platform. We have moved from Meetup. We have moved to something called Community Dev. So Abhishek has posted the link. That is where all the new meetups will be announced. If you haven't signed up there, just go to that link and sign up. It's a new platform for all the Google developer group communities across the globe. You will find all our new meetups there, and we will not use meetup.com in some time. For a while, we will be using it, but after through a long period, we will switch back to community.dev. So gdg.community.dev, and you can search for GDG Chennai, or you can just hit on the link over there. And we are pretty much active on the Twitter, so you can follow us there. And this recording, whoever has joined late and had some problems to join the meetup, join the meet link, we have recorded this whole session. We will be uploading it to YouTube in some time. So you can also follow us on YouTube. So yeah, subscribe there for future events as well. And yeah, that's all from our side, GDG Chennai. Thank you guys. Thank you everyone for joining.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you everyone.